All right, so this is going to be weird because I don't usually do this sort of thing. You'll notice if you check my channel, this is my first ever video talking about myself. But yeah, I just might as well at this point in my life. There's a lot of things that have been happening, and I just want to talk about stuff. And I think video would be the best way to start this creative journey, and it's kind of a little bit of therapy for myself too. I keep myself accountable, so why not give it a shot, right? So yeah, I have cancer, so that's a thing. It's, to be specific, it's papillary thyroid carcinoma, and that's, yeah, I have that. That's a thing that happens to people, I guess. Yeah, it's funny because I guess we should just go back to how I found out about it. The funny thing is, it was actually a hilarious thing. How I found out about it is usually me and my lovely wife, we would, with the limited time we have, sometimes we would just roast each other. That's how we roll, right? I used to bodybuild and I used to kind of lift some weight. But then after COVID and everything, I kind of let myself go. So the gains are practically gone, right? At this point. But my wife was, dude, you still have a ginormous neck, right? Or relative to her, she's 4'11". So don't tell her. I love her so much, but we're almost midget status over here. Just kidding. I too am a short guy, but I tell her to try and choke me a little bit. Just a little bit of choking. So she tried trying to wrap her tiny hands around my neck, right? Her 4'11" hands. And we were laughing, we were having a good time, and then her face just changes where it's something's not right here. She felt something underneath this section, and it was a lump. And then her entire demeanor changes, and she's, I don't think that's muscle. And now looking back at it, hindsight is 2020. Back when I was lifting, I thought it was because the consistency was kind of the same, right? I would feel it, and then I thought, me being an idiot, right? I'd be like, oh damn, feel those neck gains, right? I would just be, oh, I'm deadlifting 400 at 69 kilogram body weight, something intermediate numbers, and then it'd be like, oh yeah, my neck's Pete Rubish status, if you guys know Pete Rubish. It's one of my big YouTube influences, just deadlifting, right? Anyway, yeah, I thought that was my neck just being swole. Turns out that was a lump. Anyway, fast forward the next day, and thank goodness I live in paradise, but it's rural, right? Just 2-minute walk from the beach, but it's an island in the Philippines. But we were lucky enough to have a doctor nearby that's just a 5-minute walk away from the house. So we went there and then got myself checked. Normal stuff where it's kind of, oh, do you smoke? Yada yada yada. I used to smoke back in college, not anymore. Don't drink anything, yada yada yada. And then he kind of palpated my neck a little bit, and then we started talking, and then I asked the doctor if this was something that I should be worried about. And then the look on his face was, oh, okay, this is probably something that I should be worried about when I asked him. So he referred us to an ENT. Is that the right term? Yeah, he referred us to an ENT. And we went there the next day, had the ultrasound. This is for you guys who are in the Philippines, who are tired of lines and stuff. Usually, if you can get the doctor's orders ahead of time, and if you were ever so inclined to skip the lines, you can have the tests done at dawn or some or midnight or whatever. Anything past midnight, skip the line. just make sure the hospital's open, right? You go there, no one's there. I went there around 3 a.m. or something, and I had my ultrasound. So I had the ultrasound for my neck, right? And then it was all good. It was quick. And then waiting for the results. The results came in the following day. Well, later that afternoon, the same day, right? And it turns out it was suspicious. It was actually TRADS 4, so it showed a bunch of signs for malignancy. And then, yeah, we talked to the doctor, the ENT. He was a cool guy. He was young. And then when I went there, he had this plaque near his near just behind him that said most surgeries done. It was an award, right? And I was like, what, most surgeries done in a year? Most surgeries, but he kind of assured me that he kind of knew what he was doing, right? And I was gonna make fun of him, be like, most surgeries done, but does it say most successful surgeries done? I don't know. I was trying to be a smart ass, but we weren't that close for me to make that joke. Anyway, started talking, and a doctor said that for women, they usually have lumps when it's more common on women, as he's observed anecdotally. The tumors or the neck lumps or whatever on the thyroid is more common with women, but most of the time it's not malignant. But for guys, it's less common, but it has a higher chance of malignancy. So that's why he was worried. So him and I, God bless his soul, because he understands how much red tape the Philippine healthcare system has sometimes. He told me that if I was down, we could get the biopsy. We could try and do the biopsy later that day. As he was closing it, look. So we came to his clinic at 3 p.m. and then he closed the shop at 5. We get to the ER, right? And then we were gonna do the biopsy right then and there, the fine needle. Let me paint a picture for you guys. He did it expertly. He's a good surgeon. But let me just paint a picture for you guys so you guys understand how sometimes we rush things over here because of just out of necessity, right? We had this, I was in the ER, and then they quarantined a room for me because it was kind of an in and out operation, right? So my back was facing up against the wall, and I was just doing this, and then the doctor injected some anesthesia my neck, and then she started just going at it with the needle. He did it to the best of his ability, I would assume. I trust him that much. He was just in the back of my head. He was just stabbing it, trying to get as much samples as possible. Looking back at it now, it's kind of funny, but I think my fight or flight response was on overdrive because I had to restrain myself. I wanted to run away or do something about the situation, but my body was just like, we gotta do something, I felt. But I was just there trying to restrain myself for what felt forever. Obviously it wasn't. It was probably just 5 minutes, but in my head it felt way longer than that. Anyway, after that traumatic experience, I almost threw up. I got to the sink and I was, oh fuck. But I didn't throw up. Almost. But yeah, it's probably just the adrenaline and just me trying to keep it together. But we did get some samples. But we had to wait a week for that. And then we got the results. And unfortunately, lesson learned, haste makes waste, right? It was inconclusive because it was all hemorrhagic material. So we went to the doctor again. As for you guys trying to go through the same thing with the biopsy, I would suggest, if you had the means, to immediately just opt for the ultrasound guided biopsy. In my head, I just wanted it to be over with, because number one, I didn't have any symptoms, right? I wasn't sick, and I wanted to keep working. I am a busy guy. I have a job. I have kids. So, and I didn't want to take a sick day. So, but sometimes you gotta just do it the right way. Well, not the right way, but the surest way possible, right? So I would suggest, if you had the time, if you had the means, just go ahead and do it with ultrasound guided biopsy. Anyway, fast forward to the thing, it was inconclusive. So we had to do another biopsy with ultrasound. So fast forward, yada, yada, yada. The guy suggests another doctor to do the procedure. And it turns out that, this being such a small town, turns out that my wife knew the doctor who was going to do the procedure, because he's the brother of her best friend. And it was pretty cool. He got scheduled real quick. Sometimes small town, friendships matter. He was able to squeeze us in. We were running late, dude. Anyway, so we got all the stuff, and this time it was more peaceful, more relaxed kind of biopsy compared to the initial stabbing, right? So the second biopsy, I was on a table, on an operating table now, with, I think, an intern doctor, another doctor running the ultrasound, and then the main guy who was doing the thing. Now, it turns out that the head, anyway, one of the leading guys who does that stuff, he was visiting that hospital on that same day, which is so funny, right? It just so happened that he was also friends with the guy doing the procedure on me. So he was, oh, I'll take a look at the preliminaries as a favor, right? So I'm, oh, okay. So as they were taking the second samples, my first samples were already being looked at under the microscope, right? so I felt a VIP at the time. Anyway, yeah, so as they were taking the second samples, the main doctor who was doing the operation, he stepped out for a bit. I think him and the other doctor talked about the initial findings, and he came into the room. He was, should I tell you right now or whatever? When they do stuff that, it's never good news, right? So he said that based on the initial readings from the thing, from microscope or whatever, I don't know, right? Based on the initial, just looking at the stuff, it was most papillary thyroid carcinoma, and he was so kind about it. He was saying that it's 100% curable. Well, not the exact words he said, but he was, oh, it's curable. I've had a bunch of friends that have undergone it. They were fine. Just tell me that I was going to be all right, but there's going to be procedures afterwards that I'm going to have to undergo, right? So that was a thing. But everyone involved, like, I just want to say, number one, thank you to my wife, who apparently choked me. If she didn't do that, then we never would have found out initially. And all the doctors that I've interacted with throughout this entire thing, everyone was very, very nice, and huge thanks to them too for just being all around great people and not being dicks. They were nice. But yeah, that's how I preliminarily found out. So we were already prepared, right? When the findings came out, the one that's the official, here's your diploma, right, on a piece of paper. A couple days after, I think, we were already aware that it was going to be cancer, right? So we got the diagnosis, and then so yeah, and I think I've been yapping for far too long, so I'm gonna cut the video here. But yeah, what's next, right? And I'm gonna tell you guys that in another video. I gotta condense my ADHD thoughts together. Yeah, why am I doing this, you think? Why am I doing this, right? I've never really had an output before, creative output, other than therapy, where I can kind of just say whatever comes to mind. I'm not gonna try and be a guru or sell you something that cures cancer. I just want to be, if someone's out there going through the same thing who's alone, I'm right here with you, man. We're obviously I've already wrapped up my if you can see the scar, that's it right there. You've already seen I've already undergone the extraction, right? So what's next for me? I'm gonna talk about, number one, my experience, the pros and cons of the next steps of this entire thing. And yeah, the main part of why I'm doing this really is, as AI evolves, I want to create a library of myself just talking. Hopefully, if and when I do pass away, I have a good library of me just shooting just that AI can hopefully replicate, so that way my son, my future grandchildren, I can still talk to them or whatever. That's just what I think would be cool. And also for people who who are going through the same thing or just need some background noise, right? Some background noise while you're doing the dishes or you're driving. Hopefully I can be that person in your life where it's kind of, oh, I can be the background noise in your life. Anyway, I've been yapping for an hour now, so we'll edit it. But I've been yapping for so long now that I feel this needs to get into a part 2. So I'll talk about my surgery there and yeah, what happens next. So thank you so much, guys. If you like the content, then follow and subscribe, or not. I'm not your dad, but it'd be cool though. Thanks. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.